Use the t-table to answer each question below. So first, why do we even need the t-table? Well, the answer is, whenever we're using the estimation, sample standard deviation is approximately population standard deviation, we need the t-table. This occurs in applications where we're trying to find confidence intervals in which population standard deviation is unknown. So let's learn a little bit more about the t-table. First, A, where are the degrees of freedom? So degrees of freedom are something not present when we're learning about the z-distribution. There's only one z-distribution, but there are many t-distributions, and they're all distinguished by degrees of freedom. You can find the degrees of freedom on the leftmost column on the t-table. Now, the degrees of freedom go on and on forever, but your table actually lists degrees of freedom from 1 all the way up through 1,000. And one thing that we'll learn is, as the degrees of freedom increase, the t-table gets closer and closer to the z-table. And at the bottom of the t-table, in fact, you'll see a sideways 8. It's actually the infinity symbol. And if you were to have infinite degrees of freedom, then what would happen is the t-scores would be equal to the z-scores. But this usually doesn't happen too frequently. You're usually dealing with one of the degrees of freedom that are listed in the upper part of the table. So, where are the probabilities on the t-table? The probabilities are the same thing as area, and you'll see going across the very top row that you have one-tail areas, or probabilities. They range from 0.250 to 0.125, all the way down. And conveniently, they also have two-tail areas. And notice the two-tail areas are exactly double the one-tail, and that should make sense. Because if you had two tails whose total area was 0.500, then one of them, each of them, should be 0.250. You add up the two of these 0.250s, and you get a 0.500. So the probabilities are in a different location. They're located at the top of the t-table. Where can you find confidence levels? Well, actually, confidence levels are built right into the t-table very conveniently. That's given by the C here. So confidence levels can be 0.500, 0.750, 0.800, all the way up. So, is the t-table set up the same way as the z-table? And the answer is no. If not, how are they different? Well, the main difference, I would say, guys, is that areas or confidences or probabilities are all listed at the top in the t-table. And we know usually in the z-table that the areas are listed in the body. But here things are reversed. Probabilities on the t-table are listed at the top, and down below are where the actual t-scores are. So let's look at specific instance. T-scores are located on the horizontal axis, such as when finding confidence intervals. Between negative t and t lies area C, say. Where can we find t-scores from the t-table? That would be on the interior of the table. So let's look at a specific instance, D. Focus on 3 degrees of freedom. What happens to the t-scores as confidence C goes from 0.50 to 0.80 to 0.90? So in other words, 0.50, 0.80, 0.90, we're getting a bigger and bigger area. We should expect the t-scores to increase as well. So, remember how this works though. The confidence is given up above. So, if you have a confidence of 0.50, that's the area, the t-score would be 0.765. If you had a confidence of 0.80, the t-score would go up. It would go up to 1.638. If you had a confidence level of 0.90, in other words, the area would be 90% in the middle of the t-table, then your t-score would go all the way up to 2.353.